Hey guys, it's Martin Cliffe here. Welcome to another video. And I have a very special guest with me today for I think the first time ever in a video, except for the odd bit of vlog footage when we were in the US. I'm joined by my lovely wife Eva, who I've talked about a bit in videos, but it hasn't really appeared in them.
This is not the wife.
No. This video may be a little bit kind of different and a little bit more random than some of the stuff, although if you've seen any of the stuff with Ed and Rob in the last few months, then you've already had plenty of random from me on this channel. And the reason we wanted to appear together in this video today is because as this goes live, it is the 14th of July, which is the day after our 20th wedding anniversary. Yeah, obviously we were very, very young when we got married. Yeah, so it was something that I thought it was important to try to talk a little bit about kind of what life has been like over the last 20 years or so. And just, yeah, just...
We've not killed each other.
Exactly. And I think, yeah, one of the key things that has maybe prevented us killing each other, but also, yeah, that has been obviously a core kind of cornerstone of our marriage is our faith, and yeah, that we entered into the marriage all those years ago. Basically, no, obviously in it for the long haul. I mean, I don't think anyone enters marriage lightly, but as Christians, yeah, this is something that if you get married, you're getting married for life. Now, for some people, unfortunately, things occasionally go wrong, but the goal is always that you're entering into it for life. And I think one of the things that we've tried to have, as well as, you know, having Christ at the centre of our marriage, is that our marriage is not just based on romantic love, but also, you know, we were friends first. So that made a big thing, and also that there has to be a little bit of compromise, a little bit of sacrifice in any relationship, but that is another way of showing love to each other, and I think hopefully, yeah, through the years we've managed to show that to each other and to the people around us.
I remember the marriage preparation classes that we had to do before we got married with the pastors who were at our church in Haywood, and that Christ being at the centre and is a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm sure in 2002 we would not have looked ahead 20 years and have thought that we would be living in our third country. Mm-hmm. And
Froggy / Rangar has come with us through all the countries since before we were married.
Yes, I think we've worked out that that he was a Valentine's Day present that I bought Eva in 2001, we reckon. So, yeah, that's
lasted well.
Lasted well.
Through all the countries.
Yeah, possibly aged better than certainly I have. But so, yeah, I mean, where shall we start?
Different. Life was very different back in 2002. We were still at university.
We were.
We hadn't finished university yet.
We were, yeah. We made the decision. I mean, it's not particularly uncommon for young people in the church to get married fairly young, because of the whole thing of, you know, wanting to remain pure until marriage and then wanting to build a firm Christian foundation to a family. So yeah, perhaps more so back then. It seems to have been slightly diluted these days, which is perhaps not ideal. But so, yeah, there were lots of our friends who got married also young, but we got married 2 years into our 3 years of university.
So I still had my final year of, like, lots of exams to do. You didn't have as many exams.
No, I didn't have as many exams because I had a big final year project.
Yeah.
That was a big part of my final year. But
yeah, so because I had a big room in Cambridge with an ensuite, so you could come and stay very easily. Yeah. And we were doing all the musicals and all the stuff down there that you were involved in as well. So you came down quite a lot, didn't you? You got very used to the A1.
Yes. Yes, the A57, A1, A14 between Manchester and Cambridge was very very familiar, and we put quite a lot of miles on our old battered Deo Espero.
Yeah, we've had a lot of cars with the sign as well.
Yes. Yeah, that one literally, I think, ground to a halt in the end. But it was a good, reliable car. But yeah, certainly, yeah, living apart for that first year was a challenge. But also, I think, I hope I'm not kind of speaking out of turn, but because I already had a house, it kind of still felt like it was my house, that house. So I think maybe it wasn't until, we had, in 2003, when we finished university, we graduated, we went to Denmark on holiday that summer, and then we kind of formally moved in together, I guess. But it still felt a bit like my house.
And then I was working in Cheddleton, so it was driving like an hour and a quarter every day there and back again.
Leek, yes.
Yeah, Leek, sorry. And then so we moved down to our first house together in Cheddleton.
Yeah, so that was
bungalow, which was cool.
The end of 2004. And what was cool about that was that we were actually involved in the building process. We bought it when it was essentially a plot of land with some plans. So we were able to kind of at least influence certain aspects of the design of that house, and that definitely felt like our house at that point.
It was a cool little bungalow.
Yeah,
with our music room upstairs. That was fun.
Yeah, it was great fun, and that kind of. Then I think because we had then space to get drums and stuff, so that then encouraged us to be able to play music together in the church and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I started playing drums more.
Yeah, which has been something that's gone throughout the years since. So at that point, I was initially still working in Stockport, and I was commuting after we moved down, but then I got a job working in a school fairly soon after. In fact, was it the day after or 2 days after we moved in?
They called you up for an interview.
Yeah, so I think we moved.
We still had the stuff that we were moving in the cars, and we were in the car park taking stuff into the house when they called you.
Yes, I think we'd just done an Argos run to buy a
something
bookcase.
like that.
There was something random, and it was literally can you come to an interview tomorrow?
Right.
We'd moved on the Tuesday. This was the Thursday morning. We were unloading the car, and they said, "Can you come in and for an interview?" Yes,
it was a Tuesday.
Could you come into an interview on the Friday morning? And thankfully, the builder knew exactly where the school was because he had taught at that school previously, so could give me directions. Because we didn't have internet. I mean, we didn't even have mobile phones at this point.
There was no Google Maps back then.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a phone line. We were still getting everything established because this was a brand new house on a street that didn't officially exist at this point. So we had all sorts of issues with mail and.
And the phone reception was terrible as well. You had to go up to the car park to get good mobile phone reception.
Yes, or lean out of one of the upstairs windows. I remember having to do that at one point as well. But as I say, we were able to get directions from our builder, and I got to the interview. They said I wasn't the best suited candidate technically for the job, but they liked me, so they gave me the job. And I stayed there 5 years. I got promoted. It was a really good kind of stabilising point for me, having only been working in retail before that since university. And that kind of gave us a solid foundation between the house, the church, and my job being more stable, that then you were able to then take a couple of steps out in faith.
Yeah, and the church was a big part of our lives then. We settled into St Andrews really quickly, and it definitely became our family there, and had really close friends in the church who we're still going to see. Hold on a minute, it will have been before this video goes out. Yes,
we're seeing friends from there this weekend coming, which will be last weekend, because we're actually filming this on the 4th of July because we're travelling to the UK tomorrow, and I need to get this edited before we do. So we're kind of assuming we live through the next 9 days, we will have reached our 20th anniversary as I'm filming this. No.
Okay.
So then, you had then with the church foundation, the house, my job.
I got involved in the youth work as well in the local town, and then I took a break from the work in industry I was doing to do some youth work, and then followed the path into teaching, which which was a little bit kind of. I think most people could see it coming.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Combining the working with young people and the science and everything. So yeah.
And that's kind of been then the main kind of driving force behind the
moves
underneath the rest of our life in terms of the way things have moved out. Soon after that, in fact it was before, I think you'd been accepted for teacher training but hadn't yet started that process. I then had, which I've talked about on this channel a couple of times before, a bit of a small breakdown. I had a real issue with work-related stress. I wasn't looking after myself at all. And so that caused me to kind of reevaluate a few things about my life. I was struggling a lot. I was very overweight, very unfit, and not taking breaks and just working myself into, as I have a video coming up, essentially working myself into an early grave at that point. I was aging far quicker than I should have been at that age. I'd already lost my hair, I think, by then. But I would, that was the first kind of step towards realizing that actually maybe mental health is something that I need to think about, and that has certainly been something that I've been kind of addressing through my life since, is like looking at not only ways of maintaining my own mental health but also supporting other people and helping to remove the stigma behind mental health and raising awareness of mental health issues, because lots of us at different periods in our life go through challenges, and we have been through challenges individually and together in our lives, that having people to support you has been a huge thing, and as a couple being able to support each other through challenges as well has been, I have certainly valued your support when I've been through struggles at different times for different reasons, and that's been a huge part and real blessing in our marriage to me, and I think we're in a better place now, or at least I feel that I am in a better place now mentally than certainly I was 15 years ago, and I think
which enables us to deal with better with some of the challenges in the past few years, probably as well, and
sure,
because we've had 2 big country moves.
So before that, I guess I left full-time work in 2009. At the end of 2009, I'd tried teacher training. It wasn't for me. It just didn't work out. It was just one of those things. So I kind of pulled back. I'd already doing quite a lot of instrumental teaching, and I was doing work in the church and all that. So, and by that point, Eva had established herself in a job. So we could afford to live on one salary for a bit while I tried to establish a bit of business, and then we moved house.
To a really cool big extended 3-bed house, wasn't it, with lots of space so that you could like make a studio and that sort of thing.
It had already had a garage conversion, kind of partial conversion, which was being used as like a gym and a games room. So I was then able to, I spent the best part of maybe 8-9 months then kind of insulating it and soundproofing it and converting that into a room that I could use as a studio, and I got to work with some really fun local bands there, doing demo recording and that sort of thing. So that was really good, and it was just a really great space for us, and it's a house that we still own.
You did some stuff with younger bands as well, didn't you? Through the youth work that I was involved in as well, and that was cool, and that'd be something you'd maybe like to do more of in the future, I guess.
Yeah, and also I ended up working with another young band, again, just because of coincidences. The guy fitting our kitchen, his son played in a band, and they came and came. I think 2 weekends they came and recorded in my studio, and I worked with them, and that again was great fun. So it's just these funny connections. But
that was one of the things I was thinking, like the number of people that we've met in the different places. I mean, we haven't even got into the places abroad yet that we've moved to, but it's always interesting to think back about all those lives that you've touched, and I've forgotten about those people actually. But all these people you pass, and I hope that a bit of with being Christians and everything, that a bit of how we relate to them shows God's love as well, in all that we do.
Yeah, that would be the goal. So then, I guess, kind of, we were there just over 2 years, and we were starting to feel a bit of a pull to look into new avenues in some kind of way.
Yeah, I needed a new challenge from the school I was in. I'd been there 3 years or so, and was looking to do something different.
Into your 4th year of teaching there, and
a colleague at school, she'd got a job abroad, and she said, "Why don't you look abroad?"
Yeah, and we'd had a really, where our house is fairly high up in the hills. It's kind of still in a small town, but it is in the hills. And we'd had a really bad winter, and we'd missed the wedding of some of my best friends because we couldn't get off the estate, and it just felt like we need to get out of here, really. So we had a look, and you applied for a couple of jobs.
We nearly went to Cayman Islands.
Yeah, there was a job in Grand Cayman, and we both had filled out the application forms and had them ready to submit. And then I just had a really bad night, and it just felt like this isn't the right decision for us. Just little voice, it was clearly God telling us that it was not the right thing. I didn't sleep that night, so we decided not to submit that application. And then within a couple of days of that,
it was a bit later, and I ended up getting the interview for Harrow, Hong Kong, which I'd not initially looked at because it was such a big name. I thought, I don't know if I'll bother to apply for it. And I thought, oh, well. And then, I went down to that, and I did an online one. I remember having to get up super early in the morning to do the virtual interview back in the day when there's only Skype was around, and there wasn't everybody doing everything virtually anyway, so it was quite a novelty. And then having to go down to London to do an interview with the head, and him offering me the job at the end of the interview.
But what was amusing about that day?
Oh, and there was a snow day.
Was that that you scheduled the interview for 6 in the morning so that you could go to school. So and then school was cancelled because of the snow. Yeah,
there's no snow days anymore.
No.
Zoom days.
Yeah. So that took us then to Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong, I guess, is where a lot of this stuff on this channel, that's when YouTube videos were certainly becoming more and more a part of what I did. I'd started the channel back in 2009, before I even finished work. But, certainly, when we moved, I didn't have a job initially. Eva had a great job. We had a great apartment provided as part of the job, so that was really good. But certainly, it was an eye-opening experience for us in so many ways.
To settle in some ways.
Yeah, I had it was very getting used to the heat, getting used to a different kind of type of person. It took us a year to find a church that we settled in. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a job initially, although I managed to get one by, I think, February, after moving in the August. It took a bit of time. I also had to have dental surgery that year, which was unpleasant, shall we say.
And expensive.
Yes,
it was, NHS is...
Yeah, that was...
Keep the NHS.
There were challenging aspects to that year. But then, as we moved then into the second year, you took on additional responsibilities. Yeah. I took on additional responsibilities. We moved into a different apartment, still at the school, but a much smaller apartment.
There were so many opportunities in that place, and things changed very quickly. It was a very fast-moving place, but there was lots of challenges professionally, as well as generally in life. But it was really good, loads of great opportunities there. And I always like to make the most of opportunities and to do different things and stretch myself, etc. And you were doing different things with the school as well. You renegotiated your contracts almost every year, I think.
Yeah, my formal reference, which is basically a Hong Kong record of what you've done, I think has 7 or 8 different lines on for different things that I did in different periods. I had essentially four different roles, but kind of at different times, and it was confusing. But it gave us an opportunity to really kind of settle into a very different life.
Yeah, and with it being a boarding school, there was very much a school community, not boarding at weekends, but we became big parts of the community, I would say. We were involved in the things that the students were doing and the school was doing, and we really enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah, and quite a lot of the staff, social stuff as well, made some really good friends there. And I think one of the things, this was kind of the first step into something that has got bigger since, of just getting to know people from so many different cultures, so many different nationalities. Even then, before we went to Hong Kong, I had friends from like maybe Australia, the US, and Malaysia, because we'd been to visit some of Eva's family there, and that was probably about it. And then all of a sudden, we had colleagues from China and Hong Kong and Macau
South
and
Africa.
Taiwan and South Africa later on, and Senegal and France and New Zealand, and all these places, and that just the different cultures really kind of opened.
And Hong Kong was a special place like that as well. Lots of mixtures of East and West and old and new and melting pot sort of thing. Yeah.
And so many people in different stages of life and having different experiences. Some people had taught in other countries around the world as well. So it was a really good place for us, I think, to kind of...
And we were there at the school for 7 years, and then in Hong Kong for 8 years, because we spent a year at a charity full-time as volunteers, and that was an amazing year, really. It was really time of blessing in terms of the community we were in and what we learned about ourselves, I think, and what we learned about trusting in, even more about trusting in God and everything that brings.
I'd spoken about it on the channel before, but we'd been very blessed during our time in Hong Kong to the point that we felt we could take a year off and give back to the community and give to the charity in terms of our time and our money and everything else. But also, I think for all that we gave, we got so much more back ourselves. Again, met a whole lot of other different people from different nationalities. So many friends now from different parts of Africa and India and Holland and Germany and all these, again, just more and more people, different cultures, different experiences, different walks of life. It was just such an amazing experience.
It would be very strange to go back to Staffordshire and live in Staffordshire where there's not really much of that. Maybe more so in some of the city areas, but
in small village rural Staffordshire, it would be a very life would be very much different from what we've become used to. And that, I guess, has in some ways been a challenge, because when we've gone back to visit people, some people, it's really hard for them to relate to what we've experienced since.
Their life hasn't changed.
For some people, it's like, if your experience is only England and English culture, how do you explain what the amazing thing about visiting Japan is, or the amazing things about... it is, we've been really blessed to have all these experiences and opportunities. Hopefully, we've shown something of the joy that has created, but also, had the opportunity to then share the joy and the passion and everything else with people. And
while we were in Hong Kong, we took the opportunity to travel to lots of different countries around there, not just in Asia, but it was also a time where we had the means and opportunity to go to like America a couple of times, and I went to lots and lots of places with school: Galapagos, Fiji, Japan, Australia, India. I'm building a house in India, wasn't it? And helping a sustainable farm in China, and all those little bits and pieces where we took students as well. So that was really great to be able to do that. And I think then, after a year at Crossroads, we always knew we would just spend a year in the charity.
Yeah, well, we'd said initially we would stay until Christmas.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and then COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because our plan was to stay till Christmas. If there was a job available for January somewhere, go for that. Otherwise, travel. And then we couldn't travel. So, okay,
we'll just stay in
let's
Hong
stay.
Kong.
Let's spend a year instead of 6 months. And that was again tremendous, because actually, in many ways, certainly for me, the second 6 months were more rewarding than the first 6 months. Because of different challenges, but also then Hong Kong opened up a bit. Still, we were able to build relationships with interns who were in for a period of time. New friends came in as well from different places, Switzerland and what have you. So yeah, those 6 months. Also, I ended up with more responsibility because one of my colleagues ended up having to go home for a few months. So I was running a whole department and dealing with all the challenges of that. Really.
Oh, and I also did the part-time, going back to Harrow part-time for chemistry, teaching chemistry.
Yeah.
Which was they were able to juggle that around, so I could do both the charity and Harrow work at the same time. And then that's when I applied for jobs in Europe to come back closer to family back in the UK.
Yeah, we'd got to a point in our lives where we were ready for a new challenge, whatever that was. It was the right time for us to leave Hong Kong for a variety of reasons, political and social as well as. But mostly, we'd already decided that, in terms of our personal life, that we wanted to move away from Hong Kong and be closer to home, because, let's face it, none of us are getting any younger. But certainly,
Got a lot of white hair now.
And realistically, our families and stuff, we wanted to be closer to them, not because we think any of them are likely to pass on in the next few years, hopefully, but at the same time, you want to be closer just in case, so you can be there to support
see them
family.
It's much easier to go and see them.
Particularly as they're finding maybe travel more difficult, so they are not as able to come to us as often. So we want to be able to be nearer to home.
And although Bucharest doesn't seem an obvious place to come, Romania, it's actually a really cool place. We could recommend it to people to come. Apart from the immigration and visa system, and that's a whole other story, and every expat has a story about immigration and visas. But if you accept that is going to be an issue, then everything else is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had a number of options for where our path, where God might have taken us in Europe, and we ended up here, and we didn't fully understand it when we first got here. We were, don't get me wrong, we were very happy initially because we had links with people in the church that we've settled in here, which was fantastic, and we felt immediately at home there, immediately blessed by that community, and immediately able to get involved.
And one of the big things we've got involved in,
was obviously the start of February this year, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we were then able to, particularly me because I wasn't working, but Eva as well did an awful lot of work sort of behind the scenes with a lot of administration, get involved in supporting all the refugees fleeing Ukraine, because quite a lot of people, it is our immediate neighbour to the north. The Ukraine border is only 5 hours drive away, so quite a lot of people have come either into or through Bucharest at least. And what our church has been doing has been a lot of helping people short term and then get them kind of ready for moving on. Yeah,
that's one of the aspects that I was really involved in. And it's changed now over time. What's been really interesting to see how systems and the organisation of it has evolved depending on the needs at different times. And actually our involvement in the charity we were in before with humanitarian work that they were doing really helped prepare us for a better understanding of being able to better appreciate the sorts of needs that would be required from the refugees who have just left everything. And the other thing was, it could be anybody. It really sort of makes you think about, it could have been us. We're next door. We'd just have to leave.
Yes, and
have to leave all your Lego and your guitars.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, one of the things that our time in Hong Kong and the finances we were able to build has meant that we were able to move into quite a decent sized apartment here. So it means that we have 2 spare bedrooms. So we have been able to put people up, and we have had 4 different groups of people who we've been able to accommodate here, and feed and whatever necessary.
Part of their journey.
Yeah, be part of their journey. Whether that's for one night, as a couple of guys were, or whether it's for a few weeks. That it's been such a blessing to us that we've been able to bless people.
Yeah.
And I think that at different stages of our life, looking back, there've been so many times where our ability to bless other people has blessed us. And I think that's true. That's true of the whole Christian journey. Yeah, you look back and you think, I didn't understand that at the time, but now looking back, yeah, there was God directing us. Okay, things weren't going quite so well there. Maybe that's because I wasn't doing exactly what God wanted me to do. Maybe relationships with people were not quite as strong as they should be because I didn't have as Christ-centered approach to that relationship. And it's incredible how over the years I think you start to realise that, and that has been something that, again, it hasn't always been. Life has its ups and downs. Mm-hmm. Relationships has its ups and downs. Our walks with God have had their ups and downs, but I think having that core relationship with God in our relationship has hopefully been a big part of our marriage and has helped us see through the last 20 years.
Can't believe it's 20 years.
No, I can't believe it's 20 years. Not in a bad way, but it just seems to have flown by.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I've forgotten like tons of stuff.
Yeah, and we're still 30 something. It's just we're 30 quite a lot something. So I hope this has been kind of interesting and inspiring. Just something of us sharing a little bit of our journey together. It's something very different from most of the stuff that I post on this channel. But I felt it was important at this momentous occasion in our journey to talk about these things.
When it's 20 years, what's the official thing for weddings? It's not silver.
I can't remember.
Oh well, oops, we should have prepped that.
I think it's steel, but I'm not sure. I think that we can be pretty content with the way our life has ended up.
I think if we made 20 years, we'll be alright. Yeah.
So thanks for watching. See you next time when we'll return to perhaps slightly more normal content. But
I keep invading them and interrupting you.
Have a great summer, everybody. Take care. God bless.
Bye.